But while Spurs celebrated, the red and white half of North London were already trying to forget.
I was the only goon at my school, and three of my then best mates were Tottenham fans. So, the next morning I basically cried, feigned injury and illness, and begged my dad not to send me to school. Seeing as he was trying to do the same thing to get out of work, he just sort of couldn't really stop me. So I had the day off. But it was horrible.
That was a magnificent game, and that team was really starting to blend. And I must say there was a lot of fantastic performances through the team. Gazza always gets the credit for it, and quite rightly. I mean, the boys would be very happy to say it was such a great team performance.
Tottenham beat us in the semi-final, the famous Gascoigne goal, and that was the biggest thing they had over us for a long time, and we got serious grief over that for a period. But fortunately, that only lasted 2 years, because 2 years later we played them in the semi-final again.
Yes, both sides were back at Wembley for a rematch. This time, though, no Paul Gascoigne for Tottenham Hotspur.
Well, it's back to Wembley again, same expectations. Unfortunately, it wasn't the same game. Tottenham couldn't get their game going, and 1-0 to the Arsenal, which obviously was a renowned chant under the George Graham era.
That was a wonderful moment. I mean, Tony Adams is Mr. Arsenal, epitomises everything that's great about Arsenal. And for Donkey to win the derby was sweet, and that was the T-shirt that everyone wore for about 4 years afterwards.
In fact, since the Gascoigne goal, there have been precious few moments for Spurs fans to celebrate within the rivalry. Their misery has much to do with one man, Arsene Wenger, who took over at Highbury in 1996. He introduced a more fluid style, and success soon followed.
It has been, in Arsenal's time, a fantastic period, a golden period, which may never be repeated.
Wenger's a revolutionary, he's a visionary. We've played the greatest football these shores have ever seen. Watching the Arsenal teams of 2003 and 2004 was something I'll never see again.
For that season, 2003-2004, Arsenal won the title without being beaten. And there was further humiliation for Tottenham fans. The Gunners were actually playing attractive football. Desperation for Tottenham as boring Arsenal was a thing of the past.
Tottenham, who used to sort of have at least claim to playing better football than the rivals, suddenly were even put into the shadow by the style of football that Arsenal were playing, which didn't go down too well.
I think what hurts us is the fact for a while they were doing it, playing the Tottenham way. You know, Thierry Henry, he's definitely up there as one of the great players. But if you look all around them, you know, they have still cheated the way through games. Arsene Wenger likes nothing more than to moan at officials. You know, there's a bit of gamesmanship that comes in to their game. If you look at Tony Adams, his favourite position was appealing for offside. He was the first one to have a go at referees. That's not the way to play the game. If you're going to play it the Tottenham way, you have to play it properly. It's all well and good playing with the flair and the panache, but you've got to do it all the way through, and that's certainly something that Bill Nicholson installed in the Tottenham players of that generation. Arsenal have failed miserably in that.
There was no escaping the fact, though, that this Arsenal side were one of the greatest ever seen in England. And at the end of their unbeaten season, they forced the message home by once again clinching the championship at White Hart Lane.
What could be worse than seeing your bitter rivals celebrating winning the league championship on your own pitch?
You can say or talk as long as you want, but we did that. We won the league at their ground, and I don't know if they can actually have a shout or will have a shout in their life to win the title at our ground. So for me, that will stay in my mind for a very long time.
Despite the fact that Tottenham thought that they took something away by equalising in the 90th minute with Robbie Keane's penalty, it was absolutely wonderful. Seeing their fans go absolutely crazy, because snatching a draw against Arsenal in the last minute for them is as good as winning the European Cup. The fact was, we won the league at their place, and they can have their 2 seconds of glory, but we are gloating rights for the next year.
It's been a period of transition at Arsenal. They'd moved to their new 60,000-seater Emirates Stadium, while allowing some very promising youngsters their chance in the Arsenal jersey. Under Dutchman Martin Jol, Tottenham had shown marked improvement, almost knocking Arsenal out of the Champions League places in 2006. Ultimately, they failed, and as ever for Spurs, it's Arsenal's shadow that looms largest.
you have to say they've had a fantastic period of really of domination. When Arsene Wenger came, he changed around the club. He took them to a new level, and they achieved fantastic things. I think not only ourselves but many Premiership clubs have tried to emulate them over the last few years. But I feel that the gap that there was there is closing rapidly, and I think we've made great progress. And I think that Arsenal know that as well.
So history rolled on at Arsenal, a new stadium, a new squad emerging. But the decision of one player to leave the club in 2007 seemed a moment of particular significance.
I would like to thank everybody that I worked with, that I played with, especially the boss and Mr. Dean and all those Arsenal fans. It was unreal at times. And I will always love the club. It was and will remain as the most difficult decision in my life.
Along with the departure of an Arsenal icon, it had been a turbulent time in the corridors of Arsenal power, with directors leaving and rumours of multi-million-pound takeovers.
The overall feeling for me is one of great sadness, right, because it used to be such a unified club. And I'd always said over many, many years that the strength of Arsenal Football Club was in the boardroom. Now that seems to have been rocked a little, so some interesting times ahead, but I do fear that it may be the end of an era as far as the Arsenal Football Club are concerned.
Over at White Hart Lane, the 2007-2008 season brought problems on the pitch, while their closest rivals again excelled. Martin Jol was replaced at the helm by the Spaniard Juande Ramos, who was immediately confronted by the weight of history at Tottenham.
It's obviously very special to be at such a big club with such a past history, but I don't think you can live on past histories. I think you've got to live in the now. This club has been a great club and will be for many years, regardless of whether we're here playing or not. I think we've got to achieve things for ourselves. We have to create history for ourselves rather than looking back and thinking, oh, this is a big club, we can't rest on our laurels. We've got to keep it a big club. There's too many people look back in the past and say, this has happened, this has happened. We've got to create history now.